Good Thursday morning, and welcome to Ice Age TV, the internal combustion engine age YouTube channel that talks about all my cars and trucks, SUVs, motorcycles, the dogs. Wow. Hey, here's an Ice Age TV sticker if you want one. Ice Age TV comments at Gmail if you want to share the love of the Ice Age. Wow, what a beautiful Thursday morning, and wow, just incredible. It just is so nice up here. And happy Thanksgiving, everybody that's watching my channel. And for anybody who's new, appreciate you looking at the videos and watching and hear me gab in the morning. It's the morning conversations, even on the holidays. Can you believe it? You're probably like, Jesus Christ, buddy, you just can't stop talking, can you? Well, when you're single, yeah, I'm single, the family's all, gone somewhere else, I got to talk to somebody, right? I got to talk to myself through a phone. That's what I do every day of my life. Isn't that unique? Who ever thought of that growing up? But anyways, what a beautiful, great Thanksgiving day. Should we all be giving thanks? We all should, especially me. I do. I count my blessings. I don't take anything for granted, and I am blessed. I really am. I understand that, and I don't want to come across my channel that I'm bigger and better than you, because I'm not. I'm probably more foolish than most of you, so probably that's why you watch me. You can use me as an example. Hey, honey, you think I've got a problem? Watch this guy. So here we are, heading over to the office. And yeah, do I have to work today? I got to go to work as well. Wow, this will be the first time for me not being with family on Thanksgiving. And for any military people out there, any LEO, anybody that has to serve our country, thank you so much for your dedication and your commitment. And I mean, I'm sincere in that. You have to sacrifice things. And I think to myself, there's people watching my channel that are in the military, and others have been in the military, and they can say, yeah, I can relate so much with how you're saying you're not spending time today with your family, because I've been through that too. And for me, it's a first in my lifetime. But I believe, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that I've always been around family, whether it's on my side or my wife's side. And so anyways, just, once again, hope everybody has a blessed, beautiful, happy Thanksgiving. But now to the talking conversations, right? Where I got to get the dogs in so they don't run amok. Because this is a beautiful day to be walking your dog in my neighborhood, which somebody will. So let's get in here and get the gabbing going with the dogs and the critters. Did I catch any more mice? I'm catching mice on a regular basis here. And so what are we talking about today? And I thought to myself, this has been a really good week of conversation, of where we've had the conversation on Monday of stolen. And even for me, it's like, okay, then we had the conversation Tuesday of quitting. Then we had the conversation Wednesday of losing. And today is the Thursday conversation. And I thought, what would be the most appropriate conversation today is tradition. I thought to myself, wow, tradition. I mean, come on, today is a tradition in this country, and we're celebrating Thanksgiving that came from the early settlers of our country, the Pilgrims, in 1621, November 1621. The select few got together from the fruits of their labor, their harvest. That's what everybody knows. I'm sure everybody knows it, but just like to talk about it. And apparently it was a 3 days of I guess festivities. And apparently, I think 50 of the the native tribe was invited with the Pilgrims. It wasn't like a big gathering in today's world of how we think thousands. I think it was like 90 to 140 people or something. And who has record of that? I don't know. But anyways, that's where it came from, was those giving back to others for their fruits of labor. And I think that that's so great, because I think that tradition is carried on for now centuries. And that's why we go and gather with our friends and family, because we're giving thanks for all the fruits of our love that we've worked so hard to have. And those that unfortunately don't have that, we try to give back. So it gets deep and heavy, but oh my gosh, the tradition. I thought this couldn't be the better day to talk about the Ford Mustang. And you want to talk about tradition. I mean, sincerely, think about it. The Corvette, the Thunderbird. I mean, those are the true American heritage of our cars coming from the 50s and the initial Chevy and Ford competing against one another. But if you really look at the real iconic vehicle that is in our life and has been in our life now since the 60s is the pony car, the Ford Mustang, on how Ford brought this car so many years ago, and it's incredible on how Ford has kept the tradition going. The car is still a gasoline engine. Wow, man, you know, you go many more years in the future and it'd be like a gas engine. You know, one day some kid will be like, a car named a Mustang had a gasoline engine. How'd that work? You know, you get 100 years from now or whatever. So, but yeah, boy, the reason I'm excited about this is because, oh, it just doesn't end. The adventures don't end. My Ford Mustang Dark Horse that I built, I can't even tell you when I built it. Whenever the order banks kind of came available, I ordered a Ember Blue Metallic or whatever you call it. I'll have to look at the build sheet. I ordered one, and I didn't get crazy on it, and that dang thing showed up to dealership yesterday. Yeah, did you just hear me? My 2024 Dark Horse. So I never intended to buy a Mustang GT. I wanted right out of the gate the Dark Horse. So in so many ways, it's just like, oh my gosh. And I really didn't think that thing would come in until probably next year. I mean, the way my sales guy was talking, he was like, we don't even have a build sheet on it. We don't have anything. And then the UAW strike, I just truly felt like, And that's why I bought this car, because in the interim, I'm going to have some fun with this car. And it gives me the option maybe to do other things with other cars. And some of my YouTubers that watch me and see me post these breaking news shorties, some feel like, oh no, you're trading that? No, that's not the plan. I'm going to trade the white Mustang. So I think the kid's all about kind of going from that, even though initially at first she wasn't, to that. I mean, some people be like, are you kidding me? Yeah, so am I keeping the tradition going? Yeah. I mean, am I keeping the tradition going on my YouTube channel? You're going to go buy yet another thing. And I mean, right. And beyond unbelievable. And sincerely, I did not think that the Ford Mustang Dark Horse would populate. But you know what? I got to see that thing in person. I mean, I may go there. I mean, I'm doubtful. I mean, there's a lot of variables here. Ford Credit's got to approve the deal. That isn't easy. But, you know, the thing is, I may go there and look at that car and go, you know what? Bang for the buck. I'm just going to keep this and move on. I don't know. It has an automatic transmission, which I prefer. It's got the active exhaust, which I prefer. It's got adaptive cruise control, which I prefer. It has a nicer interior, which I prefer. So all all the other things, geez, right? Yeah, okay, enough about that, right? So I just think to myself, we can use the collection of vehicles here in my own driveway that are so the tradition. I mean, come on, the Jeep. If you're a military guy, I mean, come on, what's the most dominant, versatile, all-terrain vehicle? But the good old CJ, or what did they even call it? The Willies. What did they even call it back then? And I'm sure somebody on my channel will be like, oh man, that name of that Jeep is Sean MASH. The show MASH all the time. That vehicle was called that. And I mean, and did Jeep keep the tradition going by keeping the four-wheel drive? I mean, think about it. Jeep never gave up. Or did they? I don't think they did. All right, so now we kind of go into the garage here, to the muscle garage, the muscle car garage, the ice car garage, as I get my coffee. Oh, it's just always an adventure. I think I caught some more mice. I think you're going to see. Yeah, there's one guy trying to climb out. Yeah, for me, you know, anybody who has a garage, you know, if the mice move in, oh my gosh, does the wiring harness become a problem in your car doesn't start? Yeah, who doesn't know these stories? All right, so here we are, and I thought to myself, boy, oh boy, if you're looking at my outfit, if you see I got the Indian, I mean, come on. Could this be any more appropriate for today's festivities? I mean, come on. The Indians are the natives of this country. And what did I just tell you about the original 1621 November gathering of the Thanksgiving? It was about the Indians, right? In so many ways, the Pilgrims. And I thought, wow, Indian, I mean, for the record, Indian has kept the baggers going. Look, Indian on their motorcycles puts established 1901. For Harley, it's established 1903. Now, talk about tradition. I mean, come on. Has Harley and Indian. I mean, Harley, what's really interesting is Harley was able to maneuver and pay off the right people throughout the years to get deals and other things that kept Harley going, while Indian, unfortunately, in the 50s, went through bankruptcy, and they've had a lot of challenges until Polaris bought them out. But the point is, the tradition. Indian and Harley have kept the bagger tradition. Indian and Harley have kept the V-twin motor tradition. I mean, the true beginnings of really, I mean, I know there's so many other manufacturers out there over the years have built motors and stuff. I'm just not that in depth in the history of the knowledge of all that stuff. But the point is, here we are 100 plus years later, okay, 120 years later, for the Harley product, 22 years later for the Indian product, and here we are. We still are living the tradition of what the original founders and brought to the market, and has lasted. And thank goodness, even though Harley, he's got a little sidetracked there with that live wire. Yeah, does anybody remember that? The live wire? Yeah, as far as I know, that live wire was sold off, and there's a whole other company now that has the rights to that live wire. Yeah, live wire. Yeah, you're gonna be having a live wire. You're gonna be livid when you're sitting on the side of the road with your electric bike that only goes 90 miles, and you realize when you get on the road 60 miles in and you got 30 miles left, and there's no charging station for 50. You got a problem. That happens, right? So here we are. So can we talk about the tradition of the Hondas? Well, yeah, Honda kind of came in, and I think that's debatable. If anybody really remembers the 60s, especially the 50s, I even know in the 70s, in so many ways you were frowned upon if you were buying Japanese products because of the World War II. And there were so many people that were veterans at that time and had family that just hated Japanese. I mean, I hate to use the word hate, but you're talking about a war where we lost our own civilians. And so back in the 60s and 70s, Yamaha, Honda, Toyota, Mazda, I mean, those things were on a fine line of people looking at that as being really it wasn't great, I can tell you that much. So as far as Triumph, I mean, look at Triumph's tradition. I mean, Triumph's been around for how long? I mean, it's just really incredible how Triumph is such a world brand product. But I don't think most people really are, and even for myself, I'm just not abreast to all the real history and knowledge of the Triumph brand and product. I just know I really love this, and in so many ways, for me, my true beginnings of my motorcycle street bike was a Yamaha Maxim 550, which in so many ways comes from the liquid-cooled motors. And that's been the stronghold of more of these European and Japanese-built bikes, is the liquid-cooled motors and blah, blah, blah. All right, so now I get over here to the Mopars. I mean, come on. Is this the tradition? Did Dodge decide to bring back the tradition? I mean, come on. I mean, for me, you have no idea. Back in the 70s, when I was just a kid, and I saw the Hemi Cuda purple, okay, purple. Oh my gosh, I was like, oh my gosh, I only wish I was an adult that I'd even have the money to buy one of those. When I was just getting going in my career in the 80s, did I ever think that Dodge would bring back the true tradition of the true 60s and early 70s, Mopar product? No way. I mean, no way. I mean, I grew up in the era of the smog era. I grew up where every motor was detuned and smogged out because the emissions of the governing bodies that forced manufacturers to get rid of these cars and to bring these junk 4-cylinder, 6-cylinder cars to the market. And, 100 horsepower, 120 horsepower cars that didn't get really that great a gas mileage. It's beyond believable. Most of these cars in the garage here get better fuel mileage than the cars did back in the 70s that were 4-cylinders and 6-cylinders. I mean, yes, these cars, that car right there, if you don't get into it all day long, and not those tires and wheels, but you take this car here, this Challenger, can you get 24 miles a gallon? You can. 22, you can. 20, yes. Some people get 28. I've heard many people in these Hellcat Chargers that aren't into them, They're getting like 22, 24 miles per gallon. I mean, that's back to 70s fuel mileage for the miser cars. So the point is, Dodge, in so many ways, has been so cool here for the last really, good decade, and back in even the 2000 years by bringing back the power, the muscle power, the tradition. But here we all know that the tradition may be broken. That they're we don't know right now. I would have told you 6 months ago for sure Dodge is done with the ICE and it's all going electric and the tradition's been broken. But the reality is we now are seeing pictures of the next body style in the frame, or I should say the modular, whatever you call it, the underpinnings of the vehicle are showing a tunnel, maybe. We don't know. It's still very debatable what's going on in the Dodge end. It's very secretive. But for me, I think most people feel like Dodge has stopped the tradition of the true muscle car of the Ice Age. And that's what I talk about all the time. I created the Ice Age TV YouTube channel because I like to talk about all my internal combustion engine vehicles and trucks and cars and motorcycles. And I talk in great length about how the tradition of these are being taken away from us. And it's so bad because we all know when I walk out the driveway here, it's a total, in so many ways, right now, a failure on Ford's behalf of taking and using the Mustang name and saying there's a Ford Mustang over there, but it's electric. And there's so many people, when that first came out and they used the Mustang name, so many people were really upset. I mean, the hardcore Mustang crowd was like, you're kidding me. Ford's going to use the electric car's Mustang name. And a lot of people there were like, what? That's ridiculous. So that there in many aspects, could you even imagine if this was all that now Ford was allowing to be sold? I can tell you right now, would I have a bunch of those sitting in my driveway? I would not. I would not. Would the love of that vehicle be anything close to my brand new 24 GT Mustang over here in the Dark Horse? I mean, the GT 500s. And a lot of people watch my channel. It's always, for me, wanting to just try to be able to comprehend to you how my brain works, which y'all agree, it doesn't work the best, right? I get it. If you come in here, you see it's all Mopars. Now, if you would have been in my garage a year ago, or a little before that, you would have seen a bunch of Mustangs. If you got in the summer of last year, you'd have seen the GT500s. I had two GT500s. I had the Mustangs, okay? And you would be like, wow, so what happened? Right. And well, what happened is I knew that Ford was going to continue the tradition of building the Ford Mustang and ICE. So I knew that my GT500s would have value, but they wouldn't have stupid value. And I really came to closure that I felt like Mopar, who's getting away from the true muscle tradition, these would be the vehicles more sought after as time progresses, and these will be the more hard to find on the red eye side. I know there's a lot of Hellcats, and a lot of people will be like, well, your assumptions of that aren't that great because you're seeing how they have way too many Challengers and Chargers, and I agree. But for the tradition, just so you know, for the tradition, the giveaway sales are coming back. Yes, my local dealer's showing advertising discounting these cars. But the thing is, what you're going to find out, you're not going to find a lot of wide body discounts. You're not going to find that. You're going to find a lot of narrow body discounts. So the wide bodies are going to be the ones more sought after, I think, in the future. And I think that the red eye is going to be the most sought after besides the Demon. So for me, and then this is just a badass, fun car. I just love driving this car. It is so much fun. I mean, it really is. And this just brings back, in so many ways, does this bring back me thinking I'm a kid again? It does. As you progress in life, isn't that the thing about all of us? We want to be able to feel like we stay youthful and young. I mean, what's the billion-dollar industry besides pills and diet and exercise? I mean, what's it all about? It's all about people trying to live as long as they can and healthy as they can. And those industries are billion-dollar, if not trillion-dollar industries throughout the world of people wanting to be able to live as long as they can and healthy as long as they can. So I kind of want to go back out here because I was going to show you the Ford Mustang again here, like you haven't seen it before. But really, what I was wanting to look at was the diesel. The diesel, okay? Right now, even for me, it's kind of hard to believe that I've got 1 diesel, 2 diesels, 3 diesels. So I have like 3 diesel trucks right now. You know, I've had, at other times, I've had like 4 or 5 diesels. I've even had diesel Volkswagen Touaregs. I've had Volkswagen diesel Beetles, Volkswagen diesel Golfs. Those things back in the 90s when I used to be in the public telephone business. I mean, just for those that watch my channel, at one time I had a very big public telephone business where I was from basically Baltimore to close to Richmond, and I had to take care of 400 public telephones. That's how many paid telephones I had throughout shopping centers, gas stations, 7-Elevens, medical buildings, airports, hotels, bars, everywhere you think you'd need a public telephone back in the 90s. I had those, and I had a very big business. That was a big, that was my true beginnings of my real success after trying years and years to be successful in other aspects of my life. And it was the public communication selling business that created that. And having these diesel vehicles back then was phenomenal because I was getting 40 miles a gallon, 44 miles a gallon, depending on how you drove the car, to go around every day and drive 150, 200 mile days. And I've been doing that, you know, now for since 1996. I mean, I've been living on the road. I mean, I started living on the road in 1985 when I drove a big tanker truck and I drove around delivered fuel, diesel fuel, kerosene, gasoline, home heating oil. But anyways, the tradition, you know, here's the tradition of these diesel trucks. And I then, in the 90s, then started buying up the Ram diesel trucks. And my favorite truck was a Ram 1998. Bought it in January of 98. It was a beautiful white two-door, well, no, it's extended cab, but it was a two-wheel drive Ram 3500 truck. And I just loved those things. I didn't want the four-wheel drive because I already had other four-wheel drive vehicles. I wanted to be low to the ground to get in and out of the vehicle to work out of it. And I had the big 2500 as well, Ram. But that was the Cummins motor, the inline 6 Cummins motor. If anybody knows, the true tradition of Ram is, ironically enough, it's not Ram's product. It's the Cummins company, okay? So these things here, there's people out here just are addicted to these things like you can't believe. And if you know how to build these things, those things are just monsters of the power you get out of them. And that's the true beginnings of really, you know, where we came from in the trucking industry. And I talked about that the other day and how, you know, once again, you're walking around with me in my driveway right now, and I'm keeping the tradition going. I've got majority of all ICE vehicles. I have a few select electric vehicles, and that there is wanting to change the tradition. And that's what we're faced with more than ever today in our society, is the tradition is wanting, you know, the governing bodies, the green agendas, so many movements are out there in our country and the world to take away the tradition of what has made us love these ICE vehicles. And I think to myself, it's already waning in the electric vehicle segment where people don't want that. And I just think it's incredible on how, as the industry continues to develop this new technology and in some ways pushes it more than ever, which more than in some ways it's happening, do people pull back? And the tradition of people buying cars trend changes. I mean, think that through. Does the future of the addictions of like the Iceman here that continues to buy these ICE vehicles all the time, as things change, does the love continue, or it just turns into a lot of people don't sell their cars? A lot of people just start holding on to the ICE vehicles because they don't like the change. They want to keep the tradition of just a good old car. And that's a whole other ball game that, like for my daughter, I can't emphasize enough that when I brought this Ford Mustang GT home, she was just really in some ways appalled by the interior of it. She did not like the video setup, video game station setup in the car. And so for her, I'm not embellishing here. She's like, I just don't like the car. I don't like the car. I'm like, you mean, would you give up your white car for that car? Because that was originally what I was going to do, and then I didn't do it. She's like, no way. I like my white car better. Well, now that I've modded the car and lowered it, for those watching my channel, I put a Stetus coil springs in it, lowered it, put a H-pipe in the new exhaust. So H-pipe, new Roush exhaust, and I put a short shifter in this car. And when my daughter followed me back last week, when we went and picked up the Ford Power Boost here, yeah, all of a sudden, she's like, this is mine. This is mine. That's what my daughter says. Like, yeah, right. So all of a sudden, she's now really liking this car. Which for me, I hope that's true. Because I really need that white car over there to be the deck of cards for me to get the other car, my Dark Horse. You know, that there's no way I'm adding a vehicle to the fleet, and the challenge would be, what am I giving up? Am I going to give up a Ford Bronco Raptor for a Mustang? There's no way. I mean, I would love, in some ways, to get rid of the electric vehicles. In some ways, I don't know. I have mixed feelings on that, but I can't, because those vehicles are so upside down because of values. People don't want them. People don't want these electric vehicles. It's showing it more than ever. And some would argue with that, but there's a lot of variables to why they're not wanting those. So there's a lot more to it that you can spend the whole day yabba-dabba doing on that. I haven't even driven the Foreman Rubicon around. Haven't even, I mean, wow, right? Yeah, here we are. Got the bike back. Got the tank bag back on, but whoever took the bag off, they didn't put the screws in correctly. They didn't leave some extra parts. Had to get very creative. It all is okay now, and I got it working. So then last night I spent the time just getting all my vehicles' registrations updated. I know people always have said, how the heck do you stay on top of all these registrations? It's a project. So, I mean, it's a project of going around, getting all the decals, getting the new registrations, new insurance cards. If you don't think that's a project, well, if you're in my life, it's a project. Yeah, if you're smart, you get 2-year plus renewals, so you're not doing this every year. But the challenge with me is, will this be sitting here 2 years from now? I don't think so. I mean, that's, so that's a whole nother, Some be like, yeah. I mean, I can only hope that, for me, got the birds trying to move in again in my garage. Any of those stories? Yeah, keep the tradition going. What are people doing today? Hunting? I mean, come on. Growing up and Thanksgiving, I'd go to Tennessee with my whole family, all my mother's sisters and my uncles and aunts and cousins, and we'd all get together and yeah, we'd go hunting, and we'd have gathering together. I mean, good Lord. And for me, yeah, what's my Thanksgiving? It's right here. Here's my fruits of my labor right here, okay? Some other guy years ago probably lived here and had this barn. He probably had the barn full of his harvest, whatever he was, because this used to be a 200-acre farm. This is what this was. If you go back to the 80s, it wasn't like 1988 that the developer bought this property, but it was 200 acres. So there was no houses around, and it was just all open land, and that's the true tradition of where this all came from, including the barn. Which apparently the barn, I had a lady, so I've told this story before, but I had a lady come by back in the 90s, maybe early 2000, I just can't remember, but she lived in Potomac, Maryland, and she came to my house. And she said that she was here back in the early, she was just a little girl back in the early 30s. And she remembers on how the original barn burnt down. Yikes, right? Yikes. So this is actually the second barn. And apparently her uncle owned it. And apparently this lady, who was a widow, her husband was a very successful electrical contractor company. And, I guess well-to-do. But it's kind of unfortunate that I couldn't get more information, if she ever had pictures, wouldn't have been so cool, because this was all part of this. And then way over there, way up there, is, can I see it? Where is it? I hate to do it. That's an old church. Okay, and apparently my house used to have I don't know if the preacher lived in my house. I've heard that. I think that this was the parish or whatever, so I'm not real clear on all that, but I've heard those stories. And the deed of this property is like 1834. Isn't that something? And how old this property is, and how old that house is. That used to be a log cabin, and was just stuccoed over. And they added on to it. If I really walked you around this house, I've added on to it dramatically, but before I bought the home, you can see how that house was added on to over the years. It's kind of interesting, but it's hard to see that now because of all the work I've done to it and updated it in the barn and everything else. Yeah, keep the tradition going, right? So back to the car talk. Let's get up here in the office because I'm sure some people are like, man, yeah, walking around sometimes gets me a little nauseous. I can understand that because you move the phone around too fast. You don't know where you're going next. That's a challenge when you watch things with somebody videoing something. Is your body wants, when you move your eyes, your whole body does. The camera starts moving them, and you get that seasickness or air sickness. So, are the pups waiting for me? Hey, come on up there, pups. Yeah, I guess we have a Thanksgiving with the dogs, right? Or will I? Or maybe I may be at Chris and Shannon's house. I don't know what's gonna play out. I gotta go to work when I get done making my video here. And there's the dogs office. But what I'm gonna show you is it's so crazy in my tradition, and anybody here that really watches my channel, but yeah, this guy keeps the tradition going. He's always buying something. Yeah, right. Always buying something. Yeah, the addictions of buying things. Yeah, does it last forever? All I can say is, what a heck of a year I've had. I didn't even plan this type of year, but yeah, they'll probably get right, sure. It's all planned, right? Let me get my video system here going there. And not too bad in the cold weather here. So it's just a beautiful, beautiful day. And I got to get on the damn road. I got to go to Bel Air, Maryland today. So what am I driving up there today, right? But you know what? I've been driving that plumb crazy. And I'm a guy that preaches all the time, but you shouldn't be driving your car around in the 40-degree weather. You have high-performance tires in your car. What have I been doing? Yeah, you're right. So, a tradition. Here's what's really interesting is yesterday in my office after I got done YouTubing, and I was in my office all day yesterday. I had so much paperwork to do. Some days I just have to literally force myself not to drive around because I have so much paperwork to do. And it usually is, for the most part, an all-day project. So yesterday I was in my office all day, and my guy texts me, hey, your Mustang just came in. And I'm like, so there's been a Mustang that I know of that was supposed to ship to his dealership, but it wasn't mine. So I'm like, wait a second, you're saying the Mustang you and I have been talking about, the Dark Horse, or you're saying mine? He's like, Tom just handed me your packet, and your car is being delivered today. And I'm like, oh no, wow, Jesus Christ. So now, if you're watching my channel, the Coons organization is being sold to the Asbury Automotive Group on December 4th. So the internal way of them doing their business is changing. And so what my sales guy, Derek, did yesterday was he sent me a packet. Literally, that's what they call it. So it's our Asbury Automotive Group handles the way they communicate differently from the way Coons does things. So he sent me his packet on the vehicle, but he took him forever to get me this information of the car, to see the build on it. Because my sales guy built the car, and he never actually printed out the actual build, okay? So we did it together, but he never gave me that real build. So it was just always kind of like, okay. And another thing is, it was kind of a dealer more order per se. So it was there's a lot of variables there in how it played out. But here's the thing. So I go on Coons Ford's Baltimore's website, and the Dark Horse car is populating. And when this car is populating, I'm like, this is the strangest thing. I'm like, I don't remember building this car this way. So I've got the Monroney sticker right here. Here is what I printed off of the Coons Baltimore Ford's website, okay? And I'm looking at this build, all right, And its build, if you look here, wherever it is, look at the price of that car. And I'm like, what? This is a Dark Horse, okay? This here is a Blue Ember Metallic 2024 Dark Horse premium package, right? And the car is $79,995. And I'm like, what? Did Ford jack their prices by like 10 grand? I have no idea. So now for me, I'm literally like, and it has Recaro seats in it. And so now at that point, I'm like, man, I'm not going to buy his car. Why would you buy an $80,000 Dark Horse? I mean, my first GT500 was like 82 or 84. I can't even remember the exact number. But if anybody's a real Ford person, you could get a real base GT500 for like 82 or 84 grand. So now I'm like, you're going to spend 80 grand for a... I'm like, this is too bad. Has Recaro seats, which that means that I don't have heated or vented seats. It'll be manual seats, won't be electric seats. And then there's a $5,000 option on here that this person put on this. $54.95. Painted hood, okay? Painted hood and accessories. I can probably take a picture of this to put it in the video for the end if I... Whatever, we'll see how that plays out. But I mean, so anyways, so now for the most part of the day, I'm now like, my sales guy, Derek, he didn't order the car correctly. Why did he do what he did? And so now I'm just like, this makes no sense. And now I'm like, I'm not spending 80 grand for a Ford Mustang Dark Horse. You're better off buying a used GT500. So for the most part of the day yesterday, I was like, whatever. I don't know. So then it wasn't until late yesterday, I'm talking to my sales guy, and we started, going back and forth. And I'm like, this car is like $79,000, $80,000. He's like, what? They're marketing it up that much on you? I'm like, no, the sticker. He's like, the sticker says how much? So he then gets more critique. And he's like, look, man, you have the wrong sticker. That isn't the right sticker. So the sticker I have, what's interesting is, if you look here at Ford, when it's a blue color versus a green color, the blue color means it's a dealer-ordered car. The customer didn't order it. The green means that an individual, like the Iceman, ordered the vehicle. So if you're walking around a Ford dealership and you see a car in the lot that's for sale, blue is always dealer-ordered for the dealer inventory. Green is always the customer ordered one of these. So if you go to a dealership and you see a green car in the lot and it's for sale, somebody ordered it and they didn't take the delivery of it. So this car here, thank goodness. So here, I didn't get too crazy on this car here, okay? So, but it's still a lot of money for a Ford Mustang non-Shelby product. It's a $67,000, $55,000. It's a $68,000 car. But I tried to kind of keep it and get this. Then my sales guy's telling me that Tom is got $5 grand ADM on it. And I'm like, what? I'm like, whoa. I mean, you're telling me that you guys are going to mark this car up that I ordered? Like, there's no way. There's no way. There's not that. I mean, you're getting ready to maybe, this may be the last. It won't even be a sale. All right. So I actually called the general manager, Dennis, my good friend, and he's the big wig there at the dealership. And he actually called me back. He's like, no, we're not doing that. He's like, we ain't doing that. I don't know how that information got to you, but like, there's no way we're doing that. That's not happening. So thank you, Dennis. Thank you guys at Coons. But anyways, now here's the challenge. Here's a tradition that continues. Does this deal get bought? I don't know. And here's what's just so crazy. If you really watch my channel, and once again, some of you are like, you just tell all your stories about you. Well, right, because I'm always on the page of getting something or doing something, and that's why I have a YouTube channel. And I just like to share with you how things play out, because some people just think things magically appear with no real background of all the things I got to do to make things happen. So, yeah, the tradition. Today's conversation tradition. Am I keeping the tradition going by my buying antics? I am. Wow. Yeah. Yikes. Right. So, anyways, here, if you watch my channel, I was on the page of maybe buying a two-door F450 black dually the other day. And Ford Motor Credit agreed to the terms on preconditions that I didn't agree to. So that deal didn't go down. Thank God that deal didn't go down. You know how, for me right now, if that deal would have gone down, and then my sales guy called me and said, hey, your Dark Horse just came in, and I sacrificed that white Mustang for the F450, I'd be like, oh my God. I'd be like, you got to be kidding me. I mean, like, no way. This is not good. So I call it the car gods because I just have things play out in my life where I'm trying to buy things and something just doesn't play out right or something happens. And at the end of the day, I'm like, yep, there you go. There you go. So now, but here's the thing. My guy that's going to finance guy that gets these deals bought for me, his key guy is on vacation. So as much as I'd like to be able to go get this car tomorrow, I don't think it is. I don't think it's going to happen. That car didn't get delivered until late yesterday. So now I think this goes to next week. It isn't then. It's not that radical. But at the same time, it'd be really exciting to know that tomorrow, for my Thanksgiving feast, would be me getting my Mustang Dark Horse. And do I want it? I really do. I mean, here's the thing. I'm going to get rid of the white car. That's an obligation. And I'm going to trade it for the Dark Horse. And that's an obligation. It's a commitment, right? Oh, my goodness gracious. So we see that. I don't know. But at the same time, I haven't seen this car in person. I mean, really. I mean, I could get there, and this thing I'll be blown away. I'll just be blown away. But this would be more of my style of car because it has the automatic. For me, I enjoy my automatic cars because I really do like to work out of them and get around. And the stick shifts are nice, but they get old. So now, kind of wrapping all this stuff up, I think to myself, boy, this past week, we've had the stolen conversation, we've had the quitting conversation, we've had the losing conversation. And I think that, man, if this tradition doesn't, the tradition conversation doesn't really just follow so much in all those other conversations. I mean, think it through. What is going on in today's country more than ever? Then we're witnessing the underlying governing bodies and agendas and the radical views that are trying to take away the traditions of this country. I mean, more than ever. I mean, and keep in mind, it isn't like this hasn't been going on for years and years. I mean, there's no way that anybody here watching the channel, I mean, we know this has been going on. It's just a little, it's just a snowball effect. If you understand that, you put a little snowball on top of the mountain, and as it gains momentum, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's what we're witnessing more than ever, I feel like, that we are at a time of our traditions are being taken away from us more than ever. I mean, it's just so bad. I just talked about it downstairs at Cars. The green agenda activists are wanting to take over the Ice Age and make it the EV age. And some of us don't like it. And some of us, I mean, there's just so many people out there I run into and talk to that just love the traditional car. They just like the regular instrumentation. I mean, some people just like still have to have a key to turn off and on. I mean, just the real basics of transportation. But yet we've evolved into this technology, that's in some ways at warp speed, that, all these gadgets are in these cars, the self-driving cars. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. But the message is, for so many of us here, I think we all feel like the tradition of the basics of our foundation of who we are really is trying to be taken away of. And I thought to myself, something I think about where we are today more than ever that should be just the basics. I just think to myself, for you as an individual, when we come in this world, and I'm reading my little note here, I thought to myself, I'm making a little note that I think is so basic of where we come from. It's the family. As you as a little toddler, a little person getting going in this world, the basics is you have a family, okay? And in that family, you probably have God. And we can only hope that every person has had the opportunity to learn about God, to read the Bible. At least give somebody the opportunity to make a decision on their own, whether they believe in the God or whatever it may be, okay? Then I think to myself, Then you're given education, okay? But when you're going from the family, the God, you're taught what's right and wrong, respect, okay? Just the basic foundation of our livelihood. And then you're taught the discipline. And then as you progress, you become capable to start to work. And then from work comes you then think you can have relationships where you become successful. And now you want to have somebody else in your life with you and create a family so you can continue to repeat that process. But in today's society, that tradition seems to have been like poof, it's gone. I mean, it's as if the family infrastructure today is gone. It's gone. It's so bad. You just see the violence and the youth of our country. It's so bad. And I think to myself, wow, that mother or father didn't teach their kid the basic foundation of what is so important for you to be a good person in this physical world we live in. And it's so bad. Because like I just said, now the family structure, there are so many homeless or say fatherless homes. It's bad. There's so many people out there that don't believe in God. It's bad. There's so many people out there that aren't educated properly. It's bad. There's some people out there that don't respect others. It's bad. There's so many that don't have discipline. It's bad. There's so many that don't want to work. It's bad. I mean, you can go through all this stuff. And then people will then go for the political angle. Well, it's because of Joe Biden. No, it's because of Donald Trump. Blah. It's because of the government. Oh my God. You're an imbecile. You're looking for the government for the basics of values of building your life. I mean, it's so bad. But this is what you argue with people about of why we are where we are today in so many aspects of this country. And it's like, oh my gosh, you are looking for the government for answers. You're an imbecile. You really are. You're a fool. You're an idiot. And so I'm going to wrap it up with that on the Thanksgiving holiday. That I can only hope that there's so many people here that will be with family. And that's what I told you, for me, this will be the first time I believe I'm not with family. The first time in my whole life. Wow. Yeah, why is that, right? Do I talk too much? Is it going to be a quiet Thanksgiving for all the other places I could be, right? Yeah, right. I get it. Well, I'm going to wrap it up with that. And hey, I guess it's gobble gobble, right? Gobble gobble. And I got to get on the road. I got to go. I mean, I stayed off the road yesterday only hoping. Yesterday, it's like, no way. I don't want to be. I've been on these roads all my life. It's so bad. And I'd even imagine today the roads. I can only hope. This will be a 225-mile drive for me today, at least. So I got to get going. So anyways, hey, everybody, thanks so much for everybody's nice support. And, I just really do. I appreciate everybody that reaches out and makes comments, and it's great. And so I hope everybody has a great day. God bless, and stay tuned for some more adventures, right? Have a great day.